With that down, let's get into main topic number one. And our first main topic today gets sent in to us by Daniel Nestor, who writes, "Hey, John, I know it's not totally movie related and all, but the passing of Kobe Bryant has stunned everyone. And considering he's actually an Academy Award winner, I wanted to know your thoughts on his passing and the pop cultural impact that he had. Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Daniel. And yes, yesterday we all found out, of course, that NBA superstar and, as you mentioned, Academy Award winner Kobe Bryant passed away in a helicopter accident. Ann and I were just driving. We were out of town overnight, and we were driving home yesterday morning. We pulled into our garage. I got out of the car first, went to the trunk to get our bags out. And as I came back walking around the front of the car, Ann got out and she said, "Honey, Kobe Bryant died." And at first I said, "No, you're lying." Because every once in a while she tries to get me, as I sometimes try to get her. I said, "You're lying." She goes, "No." And of course, then she read off the news about Kobe passing away in that helicopter accident. And it wasn't just him. There were a number of other passengers on board, including, and maybe most sadly, his 13-year-old daughter was with him as they were on their way to a basketball event. And I'm not going to be disingenuous here. Like, I'm not going to suddenly pretend like, oh, Kobe Bryant was my all-time favorite basketball player. Oh, I loved Kobe Bryant as a basketball player. For those of you who watched me for a long time, you know that's not true. I wasn't the biggest Kobe Bryant fan in basketball in the world. Whenever the Lakers would play the Celtics in the finals, I was cheering for the Celtics and stuff like that. And, I'm one of those guys that I think LeBron is better than Kobe and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to come across as disingenuous here. But hearing about the passing of Kobe Bryant to me was maybe even more stunning than when we heard about the passing of Carrie Fisher. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that. I'm not saying Kobe Bryant meant more to me as a fan than Carrie Fisher did. Clearly, being a Star Wars guy, Carrie Fisher is far more significant to me. But the passing of Kobe Bryant, I think, was more shaking to me. And it goes beyond entertainment. It goes beyond sports. It goes beyond movies. It goes beyond Academy Awards. It goes beyond all of that. And it really speaks to, I think, and I'm hardly the best or most qualified person to be speaking in terms like this, but to me, it really speaks more to the transient nature of life. You see, when Carrie Fisher passed away, we were all shocked and we were all saddened. I think only twice in my life has the death of somebody I never even knew affected me so much that it brought me to tears. Carrie Fisher was one of those. But at the same time, there was also an understanding that, Carrie was older. Not that takes away any from the tragedy at all, but hear me out. Carrie was older, not always in the best health. And so when we found out she died and why we were shocked and surprised and saddened and destroyed and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't the most surprising thing in the world. We understand how life works. Those of us who are adults, we understand how life works. And so amidst the sadness and the pain and the grief that a lot of you and I as fans felt, there was also a little bit of an understanding that this is life. This happens. Despite the pain and anguish and sadness, we also understand that that's life. In the situation of somebody like Kobe Bryant, there's a little bit of a different element that gets involved. And again, let me acknowledge right here, I am not speaking to things that I am an expert in by any stretch of the imagination. I am not speaking as any sort of authority on this. I'm way outside my comfort zone here. But let me just tell you my observations, nonetheless. With Kobe Bryant, there's something shattering about the news of this titan passing away so young that really smacks us all in the face about the whole nature of mortality. I heard an ESPN commentator put it better than I ever could, and he basically said this. He said, look, the passing of Kobe Bryant reminds me, this is what the ESPN commentator was saying, the passing of Kobe Bryant reminds me that this is similar in nature to how I reacted to the news of the passing of my father. This was the ESPN commentator talking. Clearly not that Kobe means anywhere near as much to me as my father did, but the nature of the shock is the same. And he went on to explain that as a young 14-year-old boy, his dad was a god. His dad was a titan. His dad was larger than life. You know, my dad can take your dad. His dad just had this aura of immortality about him. He was one of the giants. His father to him as a 14-year-old boy was truly one of the greats in the world. And when he lost his father, he said there's a unique nature to that sense of loss because of how you viewed that person and mortality and the transient nature of life, how life can be one thing one day and the very next day it can be gone or something very different. He said it was very stunning as to the transient nature of it. And he said, I had the similar kind of feeling when I heard about the passing of Kobe Bryant, that this was a guy who in many ways was larger than life. He was a guy who was a titan in all of pop culture. I mean, Kobe Bryant transcended just the general sports superstar. He was also an Academy Award winner. He had his hands in a lot of different things. He was, to many people, a titan in the world. He was just we saw him courtside at the LA Lakers basketball game, jumping on the court and hugging LeBron James and blah, blah, blah. And I remember getting out of that car and then having my wife Ann tell me about him passing. I can totally understand where that ESPN commentator was coming from. Because again, Kobe Bryant wasn't the most important celebrity in the world to me, but he was one of the greats in a sport and a titan in the world of pop culture. And at such a young age, 41. And of course, compounding that, the sadness with the other people who perished in that accident as well, not to mention his daughter. There's something about that transcends fandom, that transcends sports, that transcends movies. There's something about that really is eye-opening and shaking to our core, because I think there's a number of us, including me, that kind of half expects, wow, he died in this movie, he'll be back in the next. There's something stunning about the finality of it all. And I'm certainly not trying to sit here and wax poetic. I'm just kind of expressing the feelings that hit me when something like this happens. And by the way, as somebody who lives in the Los Angeles area, you unless you live in LA, you'll just never really know and understand what this one individual meant to this city. Kobe Bryant was no saint. Kobe Bryant had issues in his life, of course. And these are all things that I'm sure will be talked about and discussed and gone in depth later. I'm sure these are all things that will be talked about later. But what Kobe Bryant meant to this city that I'm living here, I mean, Ann and I, about an hour after we heard the news, we had to go to Michael's to pick up some things. And even just getting out in the parking lot of this place, you could feel the heaviness of the entire city. We go into this department store and just everybody is talking about, we see people wearing LA Lakers shirts, like just finding out an hour earlier that Kobe had passed away. The hundreds, or if not thousands of people went downtown Los Angeles to gather outside of the Staples Center with a memorial to Kobe up on the giant screen outside of the arena. Again, it's not somebody I knew. It's not even somebody that I was personally the biggest fan in the world of, but when you get somebody like that dies at that young of an age that you just sort of see as a titan that walks the earth, it is shocking and weird and odd and all at the same time. And to see the type of impact that he made on a lot of people in the city is something else. And that raises an interesting question. You know, a lot of people are still surprised when they hear the fact that Kobe Bryant is an Academy Award winner. He won an Academy Award for his short film. I believe it was called Dear Basketball. That was a short animated film with the music composed by John Williams. That was an animated version of a op-ed piece he wrote upon his retirement from the game of basketball. And it really is beautiful. If you've never seen Dear Basketball, I do highly encourage you to check it out because it is quite beautiful and John Williams does a great job with it. I was actually at the John Williams in concert at the Hollywood Bowl. And John Williams brought out Kobe Bryant. And of course, being in Los Angeles, everybody lost their minds. And Kobe Bryant narrated Dear Basketball as they played the animation of the short film on the big screen, and John Williams conducted the orchestra. It raises an interesting question that a few people have been asking, which is, with the Academy Awards coming up shortly, and one of the wonderful things, in a very sad way, but one of the wonderful things that the Academy Awards does every year, of course, is their in memoriam, talking about the people they lost. A question got raised up is, when you get somebody like Kobe Bryant, who was first and foremost, obviously, a sports star. He was not a movie personality. He was a sports star. However, he is an Academy Award winner. Should the Academy Awards include him in the in memoriam segment at the Oscars, considering he wasn't really a movie personality, he was actually a sports personality? To me, the answer to that question is simple. Of course you include him. If for no other reason, and maybe for the only reason of, he is an Academy Award winner. It don't matter how many Academy Awards he won. It don't matter how many movies he's appeared in or not. It don't matter that maybe most people didn't even know he made a movie or that he won an Academy Award. None of that matters. He is a member of that pantheon. He is an Academy Award winner. And whether you like Kobe or not, or whether you think that, it doesn't matter. He is an Academy Award winner. To me, the question of should he be, inducted or should he be honored in the in memoriam segment of the Oscars is, of course he should. The only question for me is about whether or not he should be mentioned in memoriam in this upcoming Oscars, or whether they should wait until the next Oscars, because he didn't pass away in 2019. Normally, not every time, but normally the in memoriam is for those who passed away in the previous year. So the only question for me is, do they memorialize him this year or do they do it next year? I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer to that. I'm fine. I just absolutely think he should be a part of the in memoriam. And I was so curious about that, I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. And I put it to you guys, because I understand a lot of people may feel he shouldn't be part of it because he's primarily a sports person. But I asked you guys on my Twitter, I said, do you feel that LeBron James, I keep interchanging that Kobe Bryant, as an Academy Award winner, should be mentioned in the in memoriam? And I put that up just before we started the show. 2,600 of you guys have voted already, and overwhelmingly 90.4% of you guys are saying, yes, the dude's an Academy Award winner. You should mention him at the Academy Awards as one of the members who's passed away. 9.6% of you are saying no, they shouldn't. Understandably, I mean, he was primarily a sports star, not a movie star. I get it. I guess there's some, but right now, overwhelmingly 90.4 of you guys are saying yes, he should absolutely be included in that. Guys, I want to throw it over to you and ask you what you think about all that. Number one, your thoughts about the passing of Kobe Bryant and the fact and the way that as a personality, he transcended just sports. He had an impact in movies and almost all of pop culture. And then to the specific question, maybe you want to flesh out your answer a little bit more. How would you feel, or do you feel, that the Academy Awards should include him in the in memoriam section? Doesn't matter if it's this year or next year. I'm just curious how you feel about that. Jump down to the comment section below and leave me your thoughts.